Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm very much hoping that people did not just watch me attempt to put that microphone on. It is really wonderful that we are here together in this gorgeous, gorgeous evening, and that Kol Ami is back.
Yes.
Welcome, Kol Ami. You are up on the stage because it is your night. Welcome. We are so excited to have you here singing, and we will sing together. I am ready for Shabbat. I think that we are all ready for Shabbat. It's been a long week and a little bit of a hard week. I'll have more to say about that in a few minutes. But first, we'll set our intention and put our space here in Shabbat. So let's take a deep breath and release. With this next breath, let's breathe in all that was hard and frustrating, which was possibly a lot. Hold it for a moment, and when we release, try to push out all of that. And release. It's said that on Shabbat there is a special spice. In fact, Susan Merdler, where are you, Susan? Over there, has Shabbat spice with her. It's said there's a beautiful story taught about the Shabbat spice, that there's a special taste, a special smell that happens only on Shabbat, that can only happen. And so if you try to make bread on Wednesday, it won't taste and smell the way it does on Friday night and Saturday. And so as you breathe in, try to breathe in that uniqueness, that beautiful smell that is Shabbat. Take a deep breath in. And release. And we will join together now in our opening song. Our opening
Yes.
song, Deb, do you want to say a word about it?
I do. So our opening song is Hine Matov, but not the way you know it. This one is by Alana Arian. And this is a lot of fun. I'm going to teach you the chorus so that you can sing along. Can you give me a... All right, here we go. So it goes like this. Hine Matov, now you. Hine Matov, Umanayim. Umanayim. Try that together. Hine Matov, Umanayim. Good. And then it goes on. Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Try that. Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Now try it all together. Hine Matov Umanayim. Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Now the seconds keep going. Hine Matov Umanayim. Now listen. Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Try that last line. Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. You got it? Here we go. I'm ready.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום, שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום again. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום, שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד.
Well, thank you. We turn now to kindling our Shabbat lights. You can find the candle lighting on page 3. As we're going to do a quick reading first, Ben. Sorry. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Kiddush is on page 4. The heaven and earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God stopped on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on that day God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom tehillah lemikrae kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh
Our opening reading is called Shabbat is the Place. It's by Alden Solovey, a contemporary liturgist and poet. You will not find it in your prayer book. Shabbat is the place where time and space meet without questioning how the beginning began or how the ending ends. Shabbat is the place where song and silence meet, blessing each other with the gift of rest. Shabbat is the place where dreams and angels meet, yearning together for a world of peace. Shabbat is the place where holiness and eternity meet, praying together for the world to come. We turn to the Baruch Hu. You can find it on page 28. The Baruch Hu is our call to worship. It says, we are ready to continue to deepen our prayer, and we are ready now to rise in body or in spirit.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
Page 31, we read together. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Continue on page 34 with the Shema, the watchword of our faith.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha, vedivata bam, beshivtecha bevetecha, uvlechtecha vaderech, uvshachbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot beinenecha. Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru ve'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
Page 40, Michamocha. Michamocha is just actually part of a larger piece of a prayer, the redemption prayer, in which the Israelites cross the Red Sea and they're singing about freedom and the moment that God has redeemed them. And they are reminded over and over again of what God has done for them to get to this moment, the moment when they can look behind them and see the Red Sea and see that slavery for them is no more. And yet we know that throughout the book of Exodus and now in the book of Numbers, that that was just a moment and the process is yet to come. We sing Micha Mocha together.
Mocha ba'eli Madonai, Mika mocha nadar ba'kodesh, Mika mocha ba'eli Madonai, Mika mocha nadar ba'kodesh. Nora, Hosea, Nora, Hosea, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Malchutecha ra'u banecha, Lokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze Elianu ve'amru, Ze Elianu ve'omeru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai.
Hashkivenu can be found on page 42. The words of the whole prayer are what's found on page 42. The song that we sing has slightly different words. Hashkivenu is a prayer of protection. It used to be said when we would lie down to go to bed. And it makes sense that it's probably the oldest prayer, one of the oldest prayers in our Siddur, in our prayer book, because nighttime was scary. We didn't have cell phones, we didn't have lights, and we didn't even have generators. So the only thing we had was fire. And when that went out and evening came, our minds wandered and things happened. And so we turned to God for strength. Now we have a lot more to protect us, and we know a lot more. We know that there are so many who need protection. They need a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace. And so this evening, as we sing Hashkivenu, let us think of the many who are in need of a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace. I'm thinking of those in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine continues and continues. And so let us ask for them a Sukkot Shalom. The many, many in Afghanistan who are still and will be for years dealing with the after effects of an earthquake. And now the many, many who are at risk in the United States. And so let us sing for Sukkot Shalom for all.
So I want to mention one thing about this. The words for this, there we go, are actually in your book. Noah Aronson wrote this version, and he wrote it using the English words that are on the left page of the Hashkivenu.
I forgot.
That's
Thank you.
okay. I just want you to be able to follow along if you'd like to. So. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu Sukkot Shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Vishamru is our celebration of Shabbat. In the middle of the service, we remember, wow, we get to do this every week. That's amazing. And so on page 44, we sing Vishamru.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai, et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
Ubayom hashvi, ubayom hashvi,
Shabbat vayinafash.
Shabbat vayinafash.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
So quickly, an apology to Deb and Kol Ami. I'm going to ask you to sit down. Typically, Deb and I talk about the service on Friday before, and today was one of those days when we don't have a chance to do that. So, okay. So today was an eventful day in the Supreme Court. And I want to just say a word about the Supreme Court decision that overturned Roe v. Wade. And I'm going to, next week, I will preach about the decision. This evening, I want to offer a prayer. It's a prayer. The original prayer was written by my colleague, Stephanie Crawley, and I have edited. It is called A Prayer to Our Mothers, Our Foremothers for Reproductive Justice. God of our mothers, we call on you. We need you. The grief of this moment is real. We are afraid. We are angry. We are heartbroken. We are tired. We are disgusted. We are hurt. Hope is hard to find, despair feels close. God of our mothers, we cannot return to backroom stories and whispered footnotes. We need you to help us through these days to remind us that we fought back before. We need the lessons of our matriarchs. Help us find inspiration from the dreams they fought for and believed in. God, we call on them and you. Give us the strength to care for the mothers, the sisters, the childbearers. We remember Sarah struggling with infertility and the divine presence you gave to her. God, when you gave strength to Rebecca during a difficult pregnancy, and when Rachel suffered and died in childbirth, be with us now. Help us to ensure that every person who can bear children gets the medical care they deserve. Give us the same courage as the midwives, Shifra and Pua, who served Israelite mothers in giving birth to their children, no matter the risk. Give us the same creativity, strength, and fortitude as the daughters of Zelophehad. May we know that we have the power to shape and change laws and narrative to bend the moral arc of justice. God, give us strength. The psalmist teaches, those who sow in tears will reap in joy. And Hosea preaches, those who sow in strength will reap in justice. Amen. So we turn now to the tefillah. The tefillah is the center of our service. It says that we are recentering ourselves in prayer and remembering first our forefathers and foremothers, upon whose shoulders we stand, from whom we gain strength. And the second prayer, we remember and think of God's strength. And the third prayer, we think of this sacred day of Shabbat. The tefillah can be found on page 46, and we'll chant straight through page 48, 50, and 52. Please rise.
It's high. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei hakol, ve'zocher chasdei avot ve'imahot, u'mevi ge'ula livnei v'neihem, lema'an shemo be'ahava. Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye hakol atah, Rav lehoshia. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim ve'rofech cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech mebit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah v'hachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, ukedoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch ata Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. Sorry. Page 60, you'll find Shalom Rav. The word Shalom means peace and wholeness, and Rav means great. As we sing Shalom Rav, we hope and pray for a great peace, a great wholeness for all of us and all of those who need it.
Tasim leolam, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam.
We take a moment now to think about all of those who are in need of healing, whether it be a healing of body, a healing of spirit, a healing from mental illness. There are many ways in which we seek healing. You can find the words for our prayer for healing in the middle of page 253. And I invite those of you at home to lift up in the chat those names, those whom you love who are in need of healing. And my hand will pass over those of us here, and I hope that you'll share aloud the names of those whom you love who are struggling on this Shabbat. Please share at this time. We join together in healing song.
Makor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu, makor habracha leavotenu. with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We take a moment for silent prayer and reflection.
May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer.
My rock and my redeemer.
Yehu the Ratzon.
So there's that saying, right? Seeing is believing. I'm not sure we can do that anymore. Seeing is believing. Sometimes the things we see do not reflect reality. And sometimes we see things because we believe in something that makes it true. This is kind of what happens in this week's Torah portion called Shalach Lecha. Sometimes you'll see it referred to as just Shalach. It's one of the, I call these the great summer Torah portions because many people don't know them and they're awesome. There's great narratives in them. Begins with the story of 12 spies who are sent to scout the land of Canaan. When they return, two come back, Joshua and Caleb, come back with this great, compelling, optimistic vision. 10 of the spies come back with a negative and fearful report. The 10 report the following. I'll give you just a little piece of it. We came to the land which you sent us. It flows with milk and honey, and here is some of its fruit. However, the people who dwell in the land are strong. Its cities are fortified and large. We're not able to go up against these people, for they are stronger than we. The land through which we have gone to spy is a land that devours its inhabitants, and the people that we saw in it are of great height. The word in Hebrew is giant. We seemed to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we must have seemed to them. So that's what these 10 spies report back. Joshua and Caleb basically say, yeah, it's daunting, but it has milk and honey and it has fruit and it's beautiful. Totally different. They went to the same place. The spies felt small as grasshoppers. And this is what they perceived, this is what they said their future enemies viewed them as. Interestingly, the Talmud says this about these 10 spies. It's pretty harsh. They say the spies are liars. The determination that we were like grasshoppers in our eyes is possible to accept, but maybe this is how we can see ourselves, but also in their eyes, from where would they know that that's how the Canaanites viewed them? They were spies. They didn't interact with anyone. Where did they come up with this narrative about how others perceived them? According to the Midrash, which is stories, narratives, this misperception upset God. The Midrash teaches that God said to the scouts, "You don't know what you have just let your mouths utter. I could put up with your saying, we were in our own eyes as grasshoppers, but I take offense with you saying, and so we were in their eyes. Could you possibly know how I made you appear in their eyes? How do you know that in their eyes you were not like angels?" In other words, God says it's bad enough that the scouts' poor self-esteem robs them of seeing their own greatness, but it's completely unacceptable to rob others of seeing what they cannot see. And how did they come to assume this narrative? How do we come to assume what others think of us if we've never asked, if we've never been told? There's a wonderful verse in Proverbs 27, verse 19. As in water reflects face, so the heart of a person reflects the person. In other words, the hearts are mirrors. If I feel like a grasshopper, then I must assume that someone else must feel that way about me. That narrative that we make up about how others perceive us is dangerous. It persists in how our self-esteem continues. Our low self-esteem continues. A Hasidic commentator taught that this was the worst part of the story of the Israelites' slavery. They continued to think of themselves as slaves throughout the story in Exodus and Numbers, and this is one of the reasons they had to walk for 40 years, because they couldn't move past this narrative. So how do we move past this? What is it that we can do? There's a beautiful verse, part of a verse, in the Torah portion itself. Caleb. Caleb is one of the two spies, right? He says, Ki yachol nuchala, for we shall surely overcome it. He was unique in his confidence, right? He didn't see what the other spies saw. He was able to persuade the Israelites that maybe we can overcome this. Maybe we can see things differently. It was said that he had a ruach acheret, a different spirit. He was able to give himself confidence and poise. You know, when I think about this, have you heard of a growth mindset? He came well before Carol Dweck and growth mindset. If you don't know who Carol Dweck and growth mindset is, it's worth reading about. So what he had was Ki yachol nuchala, for we shall surely overcome it. Let us not see ourselves, let us not assume that others see us as grasshoppers. We do all struggle with self-esteem issues. There are days when we see ourselves as grasshoppers. This is reality. Let's not assume that others do as well. I want to share just a little bit of a story, actually, and it actually is about Kol Ami. It's about you, all of you. Deb told me, I can't see Deb, all I see is a music stand. Hi, Deb. Deb told me that when Kol Ami was getting started singing again, that there was a lot of anxiety because you hadn't sung in 2 years. And you were worried, we're going to sound bad. What does this feel like? What if we can't do this? And there was a moment when you had a narrative of we're going to be like grasshoppers to them. But instead, you became Caleb and Joshua, and you overcame. You became what Caleb and Joshua have taught that you should see, and you had a ruach acheret. And so there's so many things that have pushed us down in the last couple of years. Let us all say, Ki yachol nuchala, for we shall surely overcome. We shall surely grow past it and not see in others sometimes the narrative we see in ourselves. This is really a beautiful lesson in the Torah portion, and it's really important. And I want to highlight this lesson because we're going to now sing a Shehechianu. The Shehechianu is, because it's Kol Ami's first time on the Bima, this is the Bima this evening, in 2.5 years, which is a really big deal. And it takes an enormous amount of courage. And it's our Shehechianu because we get to listen to them. And let us remember when we tell these narratives, Ki yachol nuchala, for we shall surely overcome.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu vekimanu vehigiyanu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu vekimanu vehigiyanu lazman hazeh.
At that, we got fly.
I don't think we heard you.
We got a flyover.
We will now turn to Aleinu, which can be found on page 283. Please rise. Let us adore the ever-living God and render praise unto you, who spreads out the heavens and established the earth, whose glory is revealed in the heavens above, and whose greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else.
Va'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Please be seated. We turn now to our time of remembering. Our memorial meditation is not found in your siddur. A piece of cloth in the process of being woven. The shuttle moves silently back and forth. The thread falls from the bobbin, laying the woof upon the warp, pass after pass, skein after skein, bolt after bolt. At times, the spool comes to an end, and a new thread is woven seamlessly into the fabric. At times, the transition is not so smooth, leaving loose ends dangling, but the work of the weaver continues. The sound of the batten and treadle of the loom does not cease. A piece of cloth in the process of being woven, a tapestry of memory and life. On this Shabbat, we remember those taken most recently from our temple family in Shiva in the first week since their death, Constance Gordon. And we remember the yardzites, the anniversaries of death that fall on this Shabbat. Alex Arnoff, Sally Stone Broadhead, Janice H. Bruder, Albert Burwasser, Ada Ebers, Ruth Wiener Einstein, Natalie Foreman, Ralph Selig Fuhrer, Betty Gardner, Morton L. Goldhammer, Leonard N. Goldston, Earl Gordon, Max L. Haas, Flora Hyman, Marcus Jackal, Mildred I. Jacobs, Ruth Kahn Jacobson, Ella Jaffe, Richard Catcher, Frank H. Klon, David Klein, Morris H. Lieb, Rena F. Lefton, Richard Dale Lightson, Hortense Myers Lowenstern, Max J. Lustig, David Meckler, Gertrude Gottfried Milner, Elizabeth Mitchell, Ronald Nelson, Robert November, Harry Oakes, Emmanuel C. Pearson, Dorothy Mackler Plen, Lena Recht, Selma G. Riddle, Edith W. Roth, Louis C. Selden, Jeff Smith, Joseph L. Stern, Sam Sternberg, Eileen Van, Sally Weinstock, Morris Williger. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we turn to the words of the mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'it hadar, v'it hala, v'it halal, shemeh dekudesha barechu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom bimromav, huya asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, V'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and give comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say together, Amen. Please be seated. It's my pleasure to invite Susan Hirsch to come forward to offer a few words of greetings and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. First of all, I'd like to say we appreciate, by close enough, there we go, who have helped to create this beautiful service on this beautiful evening. Thank you, Rabbi Van, and thank you, Deb, and the Kol Ami, members, and Ben Nalkovich, our accompanist. It was a real treat to have you back with us tonight. And I like the addition of our percussion section. So glad to hear you again. It was a treat, and you are not rusty. We are also very fortunate to have dedicated staff, volunteers, and leadership to enhance our Shabbat experience every week. As far as announcements go, our gatherings are going strong. If you're interested in outdoor yoga, farmers markets, or hiking, please visit the website or reach out to the office. I'd like to put in a plug for the farmers market. We're meeting tomorrow at the parking lot at 9:30 and going to Hudson's farmers market. So I'd love to have you join us. Remember to read your Temple Times over the summer. We announce many exciting events that you might be interested in. For example, the Temple Times this week, we featured Alex Lodazinski, thank you, and his Pride response, as well as Jim Goldsmith's recent awards. Glad to see everybody attending tonight in person. Couldn't ask for a better evening, and it's such a pleasure to be here among all of you. We will be complying with the CDC guidelines for our masking requirements as indicated on the sign of our front door. And of course, our vaccination policy is ongoing. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. So I want to admit a little bit of denial, and so I'm going to come out of that denial, and I want to do a little shout out to Matt and Julie and Carly Lehman, who are, I'm going to wave to them. They're embarrassed now because they are, Matt is our immediate past president, and they are moving. So we wish them well. They're moving to Maryland. So we wish them well, and we will miss you. So farewell. Safe travels, and thank you for being such a blessing to all of us. And we want to thank Kol Ami. I think we would love to call you out all by name. So maybe when you hear your name, just wave, because we don't have an order of service. And I'm gonna mess it up because this is like the worst pressure ever. So Lyle Merdler on percussion, Nancy, I'm just gonna do first names. Nancy, wave, and Jack, and Muriel and Janice, thank you. Who can't I see? Because I'm so short. All I see is there you are, Howard. I can't see. I'm too short. And Howard. And then Ben Malkovich on our piano, who will also be joining us for High Holy Days. And of course, Deb, you're amazing. Now we're going to finish with a closing song. Our closing song is Od Yavo, which everyone loves, page 353. If you want to get up and dance, you may. You can stand if you want to.
Odyavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Odyavo shalom aleinu. Odyavo shalom aleinu. Odyavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. 2, 3, 4. Odyavo shalom aleinu. Odyavo shalom aleinu. Odyavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Odyavo shalom aleinu. Odyavo shalom aleinu. Odyavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, 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 salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. 2, 3, 4. Odyavo shalom aleinu. Odyavo shalom aleinu. Odyavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Odyavo shalom aleinu. Odyavo shalom aleinu. Odyavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam.
So we'll turn now to our benediction. I invite everyone, please rise in body or in spirit. If you have a spouse or partner up here on the bima and would like to join them for the benediction, we would very much like for you to do that. Immediately following our benediction, we will be joining in Motzi. And then for those of you at home, we hope you have a challah. Susan, come on. We hope you have a challah, and then challah will be right over there on the side.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yaher Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
May the light of God's presence shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha Lecha shalom, v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God lift up each one of us and bring us shalom, peace, and wholeness. Amen. Shabbat
Amen.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
And now a motzi.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our prayer is humbly said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
B'tei avon, which means bon appetit. There is no translation in English. And Shabbat shalom. And mazel tov yasher koach to Kol Ami.